Hi all, how are you doing? I hope you are all fine. Okay, now in this lesson we're going to see about your sequences. Sequences is nothing but it's used to generate a sequence number. Okay, so here see, this is a way of creating a sequence. Create sequence and sequence name. You can give any sequence name here, but my advice is always start your sequence like this: SQ underscore or SEQ underscore, like this. Okay, so I just created a simple sequence here. Okay, then in the next I'm going to execute this query and show to you. I already created. Okay, sorry, I'm going to drop and create in front of you. This is a way of dropping my sequence. Okay, I just remove this. Now see how to create this sequence. Create sequence name. I'm executing. I got the message sequence SQ test created. Okay, this is a very simple syntax: create sequence name. And now you need to see your sequence number. I already said sequence is nothing but it's like a counter to generate, keep on generating a numbers. So you need to see that generated numbers, right? So that's why I'm using this query. Select your sequence name, whatever the sequence name you have created. Please give a sequence name dot next to val from doer. Okay, if you execute the query, you can see 1, because always your sequence number will starts with 1. And if you keep on executing the same query, for example, we'll show the line numbers. If you keep on executing the same query, see, I am keep on executing, it show the number line by 9. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, so this is a meaning of next val. It will show the next integers whenever you calling this next val function. Okay, the next thing is current val. Current val is nothing but it stands for, it will show the current value for your sequence. Okay, when you execute this query, it will show 12, because up to 12 it will get generated. Even if I keep on executing this, it will show the same number only, 12, right? So this is a use of the sequence. So here next val is nothing but it will print the next numbers, and current val is nothing but it will print the current value of your sequence. And you need to drop the sequence means please use like this: drop sequence and sequence name. So very simple. Okay. Now here I am going to have some more attributes in the sequence. We're going to see this one. So here see, create sequence name, increment by 1. Here instead of a 1 I can give also 5. Whatever the number you like to give, you can give it here. So what happened means, when I already drop my sequence, right now I can able to create my sequence with the same name. So I'm going, but the same name I just added some features, increment by 5. We're going to see what happened now. It will show the numbers, 5 numbers after, like this. Sequence created. Now if I execute my sequence, first number it's showing 1. Okay. Now when I execute again, it's showing 6. And when I execute again, it's showing 11. So 5, it will increment the numbers by 5. Okay, then show you as. So if you keep on executing this number, okay, what happen means it will show the numbers at 5 times. It will increment the numbers by 5 times and show you the result. Okay. Now the next thing, current val also the same logic only. Up to 71 it got generated means if you keep on executing, it will show the same number. This is what the increment by 5. You can give any number here. Okay. The next thing is this one. Here see, create sequence name, start with 1. Okay, I'm just telling please start with this number. Normally it starts with 1 only, but I can also give any number where I just tell starts with 20. So my sequence number will starts with 20 and it will increment by 5. Okay, for example, I just already created the sequence, right? So I'm going to drop the sequence. Now I'm going to execute this query. It now when I execute my next val, it will show 20 because here I given start with 20, right? So that's why it will go this 20. Then if I execute 25, 30, 35 like this, because I have given start with 20 and increment by 5. That's why 5 numbers is incremented and showing here. Okay, now I drop this sequence also because now you know what is start with and increment by. Okay. Next thing is these are all optional features. You need means you can use these features. I'm going to drop the sequence. And here see in this example, I have given create sequence name min value 10. So if I give min value 10, my sequence is going to starts with number 10 and it will increment and show, and it up to 1000 number it will generate and increment by 10. Okay, so my sequence will starts with number 10. You can also give like this min value, okay, and max value and increment by 10. So next one is cycle. What is cycle means? Once your query result is reaches 1000 means then it will go to 10 again. 10, 20, 30 again. So once that is the meaning of cycle. If you given a cycle, then once it reaches a maximum value, it will go to the minimum value and keep on generating like 10, 20, 30, 40 until 1000. Then once it reaches 1000, then also it will execute 10, 20 and 30 like this. So that is the meaning of mean value and max value here. Here no cycle means what is the meaning? The same thing I have given here, but I given no cycle. What is the meaning of no cycle is nothing but once it reaches 1000, what happen means it will throw an error and show you it reaches the maximum value. Once it reaches 1000 by executing this next to val command, okay, if you keep on executing and see the sequential numbers, right? Then once it reaches 1000 while executing this command, it will throw an error. Okay, that is the meaning of this no cycle. Okay, the next one is cache 20. What is the meaning of cache 20 is nothing but the Oracle itself, okay, will cache 20 sequence number and store it into your memory. Okay, generate. So for every time the next 12, for what happen in the real time means you executing this query, right? Whenever you executing the query, it will go to the database server and generate one number and giving to you. If you keep on executing that much time, it will hit the database server and give you the sequence number. But what happen if you use this cache means from the database server itself it will use that cache 20. Okay, it will pick it up the 20 sequence number and keep it in the memory, and whenever the people is executing this query, instead of going to hit in database server, it will pick it up from the memory and give you the sequence number. So by this way we can increasing our database performance, right? So this is a meaning of using cache. Suppose you don't give anything here, right? Here and all we didn't give anything, cycle or no cycle like this. So default is a no cycle. Okay, that you need to remember. And if you didn't give any increment by means and all, you didn't give any increment by, right? So increment by, I didn't give any information about cycle or no cycle and all, and no min value, max value. So the default value is it will increment by 1, and defaultly it will starts with 1 and it will reach up to the maximum number. Okay, so and default is no cycle. If you didn't give anything here, then it will behave like a no cycle. Okay, so why we are using, okay, we keep on generating the numbers. Until now we didn't implement it in any table, right? So this is the main use of the sequence. Whenever you create, see here I am just creating a sequence create sequence team id. Okay, for some column, I mean cricket team, I have one column called cricket, table called cricket team. I'm going to execute this table in front of you. This is the use of the sequence. Use means where you going to use our sequence finally. So team ID, team name, score, country, all those things I have. Now for this column, instead, while what suppose I'm asking to insert a new row into the cricket player table, means what you will do, you just put insert into your table name, then values. You're going to give all the values for all the 5 columns, right? But instead of doing this, do like this. Create a because this number is sequentially generating. So create a sequence for this column. Okay, create sequence name. Okay, you can give for team id. I'm going to give the sequence name, means please give the same name implying the logic. So sq underscore team id. Okay, now I'm going to execute the query. If I already created, I will drop it out. Oh my god, I already created this. Okay, but I just drop it out in front of you and create. I just drop this and create it again. Okay, my sequences get created. Now I am going to execute my query. So see here, in my cricket team up to number 3 is got generated. So my next sequence number I need to be 4. But when I execute this query, okay, first number it will show up because didn't I use anything here, increment by or anything. So default is 1. So it will starts with 1, and if I keep on execute 2, then it 3. So up to 3 I have executed. Now my current value of my sequence is 3. Okay, now when I'm going to insert a new row into my cricket team table. Here see how I am framing my insert statement. Insert into table name values, and instead of giving value to the team id column, I am giving like this. This is the main important thing. So your sequence name, whatever the name you have created, dot next to val. Okay, then the team name and the score and USA for the country and team ID and number. Okay, so now I am going to execute this query. Instead of giving value by myself to the team ID column, I just calling my sequence. One row inserted. Okay, now when I execute this query, I got team IDs 4 is there. This is the 4 generated by the sequence. Okay. So it is mostly used in the insert statement for particular column. Mostly the people will use for some column, I mean for the team ID column, means they use this sequence for the team ID column alone. They not use this sequence for any other purpose. But is it possible to use some other purpose also? You can use this sequence name dot next val this to any other insert statement to some other tables also, but it is not advisable. Always use per column per sequence like this. Okay, so far we have seen sequences also. I hope now you know how to create a sequence and how to drop it, and what are some features about increment by, cycle, no cycle, min value, max value, and you at last you have seen about this real implementation of your sequences also. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Okay, thank you for the listening. Okay, see you in the next class.